Virtual Information Session 2020. I'm Sophronia, a Year 4 real estate student, and I am pleased to be your MC for this afternoon. I would now like to invite Professor Lam Ki Po, Dean of the School of Design and Environment, to deliver his address. Prof. Lam, please.
Thank you, Sophronia. Very good afternoon, everyone. Especially, I want to welcome our alumni in the panel of speakers, Yvonne, Mark, Valerie, and Jacob. Thank you very much for taking your Saturday off to join us in this session, and to all my colleagues in the Department of Real Estate. And of course, last but not least, to all the potential students that are considering joining us in the Department of Real Estate within the School of Design and Environment. Well, again, a very, very good afternoon to all of you. I think all of us are experiencing an unprecedented condition brought about by this nasty COVID-19 that has turned all our lives upside down for the past several months. Yet at the same time, everybody has been extremely, responsive, extremely creative and innovative to adapt to this new challenges and new scenario in terms of both our own lives in our own respective homes and families, and also, of course, in our workplace. Yeah, in our case, in delivering the teaching and learning in the context of the university and in the real estate program. Everybody has been working extremely hard to, as I said, to innovate and adapt, making use of a lot of methods and online methods to continue to deliver, cutting edge knowledge and information to all our students. Now, of course, I think we have to admit and recognize that this is not going to be business as usual moving forward. I think we need to understand and accept that. And it is going to be a new normal. And likewise, our colleagues, our teachers, as well as our students will have to continuously, adapt to this new normal in our learning space. So that's the first point I like to really encourage the potential students to think about very, very seriously as you contemplate pursuing your university education in whatever area. Now, for us in the School of Design and Environment, as you know, we are a cross-disciplinary school providing education, training, and as well as, of course, research in the built environment. We have, besides real estate, we have architecture, we have building, and we also have industrial design. And we collectively provide a very holistic platform for our students to experience various facets of our built environment, both in development, all the way to maintaining and ongoing, operation. I think the situation we have now, as I said earlier, COVID-19 is going to obviously provide, give us a lot more new challenges, but at the same time, it's also great opportunity, I think, for us to look at new ways of addressing, land use, planning, real estate kind of approaches to the future of our city here in Singapore and elsewhere. I think the opportunities are great. Our colleagues are very, very actively pursuing research and development in all aspects connected to the built environment, in real estate, as I said, in architecture, planning, urban planning and design, etc. And we will, be able to offer you, incoming students, this broad platform of experience, which we will allow you to some degree that option and flexibility to experience and to take, lessons from this allied affiliated kind of areas of study, so that you will be a lot more well equipped as you move forward into your career in 4 years' time, and then continue to contribute to the new norm, if you like, of what the city and what living would be in the future. So I encourage you to consider us, and we will promise to offer you a great experience as you join us. So with that, thank you all very much, and wish you all the best. And stay safe. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Lam. Next, we will have the head of the real estate department, Professor Sing Tian Fu, to speak. Professor Sing, please.
Thanks, Safrina. Thanks, Prof. Lam, for the welcoming speech. I think, unlike many other departments in university, which is quite under conventional departments like medicine, law, they don't need a lot of this introduction to many of the students and applicants. I think for us, real estate, this info session is very important, actually, for us to clear some of the misconception, also to provide better information to potential applicant about what the career pathway available for real estate. I think a lot of people have this misconception about real estate graduate. It can be a real estate salesperson. So actually, a lot of parents women think that, no, why do you need to go through 4 years to study real estate and to become a real estate salesperson? Precisely, this is some of the misconception we try to actually clarify to this info session. I think this info session is particularly important for those people who choose real estate but want to know a little bit more. In fact, we just celebrated our 50 years last year. I think we have actually in the past 50 years producing a lot of alumni and graduates who have contributed significantly in our last 50 years of national developments, from a third world fishing village to today what we see in a first world country. Our graduate, our alumni actually have made a lot of contribution in these areas of urban and city planning. So today's we are very pleased to have 4 of the more recent graduates, those graduated from 1994 to 2014, to come and share, and also to tell a little bit about their personal experience on their journey from SDE, Department of Real Estate, till today's. 2 of them actually working for the developer. 1 of them has his own fund management company, and another recent graduate working in Prology. It's one of the international and global logistic company. So these 4 of them actually graduated over different years, from 2014, 2002, and also 1994. So I actually give you a very good kind of what we call shadows, or the progression path you can see in the next 5 years, 10, 15 years, and 20 years, how what will you expect to be in your career if you join the real estate industry. I think without further ado, so maybe I would like to pass on the mic to Safrina. Again, I would like to thank all of y'all for taking your time to join. Very heartening to see so many of y'all. I count there about 215 of y'all in this Zoom room. So I thank you again and welcome to this Zoom room. Safrina.
Yeah, thanks, Prof. Singh. So next, I think Prof. Sky, our vice head of real estate department, would like to share.
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you so much for taking time off this afternoon to meet with us here virtually. So let me share screen now. Let's see if I could do it now. Okay. Okay, I'm going to briefly talk to you about what real estate is about and why NUS real estate. It's going to be a very brief slide. I can't cover a lot, but hopefully what I do today is to spark your interest, spark your curiosity, and maybe after today's talk, you start looking around us a little bit more differently now that you're more aware about what real estate is about. All of us here in the real estate industry you know, professors, academics, and industry veterans are all very excited about how real estate has evolved over the recent decades. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we are seeing increasing global wealth, and that will bring about a plethora of career opportunities to us. If somebody were to ask you, what do you think the world is worth? Then what do you think is the most valuable asset to you? What would you think? The answer is not equities. The answer is not debt. The answer actually is real estate. Globally, real estate is a more valuable asset class. And this is a study by Savills. And you know, it doesn't change year to year. This is what we see. Residential real estate is it comprises 168 trillion US dollars of wealth. It is 3.2 times the wealth in equity and 2.2 times the wealth in securitized debt. Now, where will the promising markets be with so much of the wealth? So this is created from PGIM Real Estate. PGIM Real Estate, it's real estate investment manager. So they belong to Prudential Financial. So if you were to look at the projection, a lot of the growth is going to happen in Asia Pacific. This actually bodes well for Singapore and Asia in particular. And so it brings us to where we are. This chart here is, you know, it's from MSCI, and on the y-axis, it shows you the size of professionally managed real estate. To kind of benchmark how much of real estate is professionally managed globally, we benchmark against GDP per capita. And you can see that both Singapore and Hong Kong have one of the larger market size for professionally managed real estate. A lot of human capital is being built here in Singapore, and real estate is increasingly integrated and synchronized globally. So you can imagine that if you were being trained in NUS real estate, you will be able to move on globally. So these are not just things that we say here in the department, but these are real trends that are happening globally. Globally, we're seeing rapid urbanization. We're also seeing within our city-state that real estate is increasingly becoming a critical part of alternative investments that MAS would like to strengthen. So you would see deepening of capital markets for real estate, and you can see that the government is also investing a lot in future-proofing our city, right? So with that, what you will see is growth in real estate employment. And indeed, we have seen that real estate, our grads overall employment rate were around 92, 93. And then last year, it was more than 95%. And we expect this to be stable or even improve over the years. Now, a lot of you have sent in your questions to us and ask about, well, will COVID-19 change the way that we look at real estate? Yes, we will, but real estate will always be relevant. Well, if you were to start after today to go Google around this phrase called cities as being engines of growth, you would see that without a doubt that the growth globally in the world, GDP growth, are being churned out by cities, big cities. So cities are very relevant, but COVID has changed the way that we look at cities, the way that we function together, the way urban economy is you know, how we structure our resources to support this urban economy. Singapore is an urban economy. It's a city state. So all our economy is driven by urban services. So things that will come into question going forward will be flexible workspaces, thinking more about inclusive societies, paying more attention to the most vulnerable among us. Green and sustainable compact city models continue to be very important in the long term. And there will be also particular attention to social infrastructure. What is social infrastructure? If you think about infrastructure, you think about transport, think about energy, you think about water. But social infrastructure will be those infrastructure that support the quality of life, that support our social interactions. So these questions are very, very pertinent now, and it's what people like us are interested in. When it comes to a crisis like this, it brings us back to thinking about resilience. It brings us back into thinking about investment returns versus investment risk. So city governance are going to be even more important as we look at different cities and how they rebound from this crisis. So that's that and what's going on in the world and why NUS real estate. Knowing all these trends, knowing that we are in a city state that cares about city planning, cares about how our land resources are being optimized. Our curriculum is very multidisciplinary. We are very multifaceted so that we can prepare you for the ever-changing job market. We review our curriculum quite frequently, and it's designed by experts. Experts, they are renowned researchers, as well as getting inputs from the industry leaders. And we focus a lot on experiential learning. We think that real estate is not something that is, homogeneous, it's heterogeneous. Different cities would have different ways of dealing with real estate. So we want our students to have the opportunity to do that. So we tend to have a lot of overseas exposure and industry internship that allows you to go for overseas internship. And because we have been around for, like what Prof. Singh said, for 50 years, we have a strong alumni network. We have about 5,000 strong alumni network, and these alumni are globally. So why NUS? I mean, NUS is it's a renowned university. World ranking is 11. The real estate department resides within the School of Design and Environment, and that's ranked number 8 in 2019. And real estate is ranked number 1 in Asia, our department here. This is a 4 years direct honors degree program. You come to us in 4 years time, you get an honors degree, and it's accredited by professional bodies, the SISV, as well as the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Some of you ask about, is this course more technical? Is this course more like humanities? The truth is that it's both. Right, so you look at the subjects that we teach you. Real estate is an asset that requires interdisciplinary training. So you will be trained in both, and you'll be honing skills that require both quantitative skills and qualitative skills. So what I show you here are the broad areas of where our subjects fit under. If you are more inclined in finance, then you can do finance specialization. So Fronia is doing specialization, right? Yeah. Okay, so I won't bore you with this. I will let our speakers here today talk more about the career opportunities. I just want to show you this, which is from our brochure. All these are our employers for our graduates. So you expect to go into specialized fields. There's property consultants. You can also find jobs in the government agencies and statutory boards, the developers, funds, and banks. So I'm going to scroll through this just kind of slowly so that you can see where the potential employers are. So there are many academic pathways. If you find that real estate is being too narrow for your interest and you would like to do something broader, you can definitely do that. NUS is very strong in that respect. So you can do a minor, even if you had not chosen this as a direct admission, you could also choose to do a minor subsequently. There's no problem about that. And at our department, you can also do, if you're interested in urban planning, do what we call a CDP, which is a concurrent degree program. So at the end of the fourth year, you can study an additional year, and you will graduate with a master's in urban planning, as well as the bachelor degree in real estate. And there's also a chance for you to do double degree program, especially for the higher ability students. Student exchange program is very big among our students. I was told that about 50% of real estate students go on to student exchange programs. And this is what I was mentioning about experiential learning. we really care about internship also. So NUS has NUS Overseas Colleges, so you can find out more about that on the NUS website. But in real estate itself, we try to link very closely with the industry, so we emphasize a lot on internship. It is not mandatory, but a majority of our students go through 2 years of internship. You can go to our internship as a real estate company or any other internship will recognize that as a credit. And our students participate in a lot of international competitions and have actually brought medals home. So, and I think that really is the testimonial to how we train our students so that they are also recognized internationally. And there's this thing called the Real Estate Summer Program, where we will bring our students to a city, and students will also take some lessons in our partner university, and we do site visits, understand how cities are planned, how certain development are undertaken in our subject city. This is a niche program, and we have a very small cohort compared to other courses, and that allows closer interaction professor and student. And we also have this thing called a mentorship program, where students are paired up with industry veterans, and in the 3rd year, and the mentor will actually guide you through your career choices as you graduate from us into the workforce. So strong alumni network, this is our people you will hear today, Yvonne, Mark, Jacob, and Valerie. And besides that, these are the people that are alumni also that have, some of them are our mentors, and they have come back to the department to help us nurture our graduates. So if you're interested in a career that shape our nation, not just our nation or any other city, that will impact the lives of millions, well, then come to real estate, and we'll be very eager to have you with us. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Keng. Maybe I'll take over from Keng, the next panelist session. As I mentioned at the beginning, I think real estate field or real estate program is the least understood, or the course which always misperceived by a lot of applicants and potential applicants. I think this info session become very important to clarify some of the doubt of potential applicant have in mind. And instead of we trying to explain or give you a lot of information about the courses, curriculum, I think it's probably more effective to hear from some of the people who have gone through the program and to hear their experience and also their career path. Today we invited four our alumni, more recent graduated alumni who graduated from 1994, 2002, and 2014. In the past, we used to invite more senior alumni who graduated much earlier and long. They actually much established, and I think this year we're trying to get the younger one to join us and to share their experience. I think it's easier for the applicants or to the potential candidate student to associate into a career path, to see how the career path of this younger, more recent graduate, they actually can see different pathway our alumni had taken. Unfortunately, this year we are not able to invite anyone of our alumni from public sector agency. I think in the past, last year, we do have one of our alumni, more senior alumni who are working for HDB. According to the presentation, he find that there are 5,000 employees in HDB. I think our DRE alumni take out around 20 to 30%, and then about 12% of them actually holding senior position in HDB. So that also explains how important alumni, the role of alumni play in some of these government agencies. 12.5% means basically about 1 in every 5 senior management position in HDB is actually graduate from the Department of Real Estate. So that is in the public sector. Today, actually, we have another 4 alumni to share. The first panelist is Yvonne Ong. I know her for a long time. We are in the same club, we are in the same year, same cohort together, I don't want to tell how long ago, actually, Yvonne. It was in 1990. Currently, Yvonne is actually, she is the head of asset management division at CDL, City Development Limited, a private, public listed company, one of the biggest developer in town. He is responsible for leasing, property and facility management, and customer service departments for CDL investment property. Because CDL, other than developing some of the high-end residential property, they also have a lot of investment property, commercial property, shopping mall, and so on. Prior to joining CDL, Yvonne's career path is quite interesting. She was actually the head of global asset management for commercial property in CapitaLand, and before that, she also head the real estate department at the Cambridge Industry Trust Management Limited, which is an industry REIT listed on Singapore Stock Exchange. Okay, maybe I will invite Yvonne to share with y'all his experience and also her a little bit of story about her study at NUS. I remember we were working on this station, and Prof. Hong is in the room now. You want to share a little bit about how you?
Yeah, actually,
for
not that I graduated 94, so yeah, Tim Fu and I were in the same cohort. Yeah, then under Prof. Ong. So Prof. Ong is also not so young now. He was mentoring us for during our dissertation. I remember when we were doing our research for him. So background, graduated 94, so that means it's a long time ago. I think the real estate then, we call them what, estate management. Estate management. So it was a bit different actually. A lot of more technical, more about law, more about development work, less about finance. So I started my career, I took a year's break before I joined the workforce. So in 95, I went into a property management company. And then after that, I did valuation, property management, project management. So almost over 9 years there. So that gave me quite a bandwidth of different areas of work within the real estate industry. So after that, I left to join Singapore Power for a short stint to do corporate real estate for them. They have some assets that I help them manage and all the substations. So, but largely related to real estate matters. After that, I think the REIT industry became quite popular in the early 2000s. And so I went to join Cambridge Industrial Trust, which is now it's called ESR, I believe. So when I was there, I was doing asset management. So they took me because I had a varied experience in real estate. But in the past, real estate asset management during my time did not have a very strong curriculum in finance. So whilst I was whilst I was working with Cambridge after they listed, I actually took a course in applied finance. Master's in applied finance, and I did my CFA at the same time. So, but now I saw the curriculum is improved a lot more. So it's very tuned to the industry market. Given that real estate these days, it's as an alternative investment for big investment companies. So it's important to know to understand the finance part of real estate. So then I had to do my master's, but I think if you do this curriculum with the school, I think you will be quite well equipped to even work in asset management or in finance of real estate. Then after that, I joined, I was headhunted to join CapitaLand. So I was there 7 years with them as the head of asset management, then head of global asset management, before I went to join CDL 2 years ago as the CEO of the commercial, which heads up the asset management division. So so my career path has been quite varied, it's true. But well, if you are very open-minded about what the kind of work you do when you're young, it's good to get a varied exposure And as an investment, so if a lot of people are interested in finance, so if you want to do a general finance degree, say in BZ, why not do something that has a specialization in real estate, because you are equally equipped with finance in the real estate, yet they give you some specialized knowledge in terms of land use, in terms of law, in terms of planning, in terms of real estate financing, development work. So I thought that it was a good choice for me then, because I had opportunities to go into other faculty, but I actually turned down the faculty I chose beforehand. And because I joined, they offered me real estate, so I actually turned down the opportunity after attending a few sessions in the course, and no regrets after that. So I'm still in real estate now.
Right. Thanks, Yvonne. Interesting to hear her comment, her story, and also her career path. I think the next panelist is Mark Lee. Actually, he graduated in 2002, BSc Real Estate. For those of you who are wondering why is estate management degree for Yvonne and Mark is BSc Real Estate, actually we changed the name, I think 1997, from estate management to real estate to better reflect the industry. So Mark graduated in 2002. I still remember I taught him in 2002. I think Prof Fong as well. He is very keen on the topic of portfolio management and finance, at the time. So yeah, you see, he is actually now a MD, Managing Director of Asia Fund Space Limited. Actually, they are responsible for trying to connect public listed company and the fund. So it's not directly in the real estate, but I think his training in real estate may help him in his career. So I'd like to invite Mark to share with us, or to share with the participant your experience and your career since after after graduating from Department of Real Estate. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, Prof. Singh. Firstly, I'd like to thank Prof. Lam, Prof. Yu, Prof. Singh, and Prof. Dai for inviting me. Actually, I find it very weird that they invited me, because I can be considered the odd one out, because I don't really involve myself in the real estate market after graduating. Yeah. So well, I think the good academic staff have been spoken by Prof. Sky and Prof. Sim. But I'll let you know that life at SDE is not just all work and study, because I'm those typical type of well, I would say guy that who is not very matured when he goes into NUS. So I still like my football. I still like to play bridge. I still like to skip tutorials, skip lectures, and play. I'm one of those type of guys, lah. Yeah. So when Prof. Sim told me that I have to speak why NUS, why real estate, I'll be very honest. To say here that primarily, I think the first thing that come to my mind when I applied for back then was called BAM, it's now called SDE, was that I like to have a degree with a direct honors, which I thought would be very useful in my career then. Yep. And that is why I went into I took up this course, the School of Design and Environment, SDE then. But I would say that it's a very interesting course. In the 4 years that I have been there, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Besides the usual play and fun that you have. But I think that it's a very multi-discipline course that I encountered over these 4 years. I have like gone through 2-3 years of law. I think I have Dr. Alice also online. She was my law lecturer, and I had a great time. I learned quite a lot of things. I also have Prof. Joseph Wee. I think she taught me a lot about the finance stuff and all that then. and thoroughly enjoyed myself then. So imagine like what Prof. Tim said, if you go into a more specific faculty, like let's say NUS, Arts and Social Science, you end up with a lot of friends who are very, very similar to you. Or you go into the faculty of law, you end up with friends who are all lawyers, who probably behave and act the way you are, you see. But in SDE, I think I have a lot of great friends who are very different, I have people who are valuers, who are people who are property agents. I have people who are government civil servant, and I have people like me. We're not in the real estate industry itself. So we have a lot of this very good blend and good experience that you share in this 4 years then. So that sums up the life in that 4 years then. So after graduation, the first job I took was actually as a research associate in one of the local banks, their broking house then. So I was working as well, you call it a research associate, but subsequently promote analyst, So I thought to myself, wow, awesome, you can like present yourself on TV, act as if you're very smart, cool, I thought it was very interesting. But I realized that although I'm very good with numbers, I love numbers, but I realized that I don't like desk-bound job. I don't like desk-bound job. And the 9 to 5 desk-bound job really bots me. I like to go out to mix with people, mingle, but I like my numbers. So subsequently, after 6 months, I told my boss then, I said, no, I prefer something I can go out. So then I decided okay, I should go and do a sales job. So I joined another bank, a foreign bank, to be a private banker, a salesperson. Yeah. But well, I was very, very shocked that it sounds nice as a banker, but in short, you're just a salesman. You're selling a lot of the financial products and all that. Again, it sort of like doesn't really suit me because you don't really touch the financial part of it. Then yeah, so you're just trying to find ways and means of how to make the products effective so that your customers will be keen to buy. Yeah. So then that was even shorter. That was only about 3 years. Then I left the bank. So wow, within a space of a year, I have job hopped 2 times already. So I landed on the third job, which is a company, a local SMEs. They are back then involved in introducing investors to local listed companies, local SMEs. I find it very interesting because you have to sit down and you have to really go through the company's financials, something that I learned quite a lot during my training in SDE. And also, I get to speak to the bosses. I get to speak to a lot of CEOs. I get to understand how they think and how they evolve their business. And I like that part a lot. So there's a lot of interactions. I understand them a lot more. And some of these bosses, you'll be amazed. They are very good in what they do. They're very, very good in what they do, but they're not good with numbers. They're not very good in numbers. They're not very good with a lot of the finance stuff and all that. So you have an advantage. You sit down and you talk to them, and while they have experience, they have like 30 years of experience in their own trade. They have zero experience when it comes to finance and talking to investors then. So I had a very good year, and happens that the time that I was in Singapore, happened to be so-called linked with the oil and gas industry. That was in 02 and all the way to 08 then, yes. And I had and back then the oil and gas industry was having a boom year. So there were a lot of interest, a lot of investors came and talked to us. And I had a very good relationship building, a lot of learning. I thoroughly enjoy myself talking to the analysts and fund managers then. And I can apply what I learned in the finance part of real estate into this part then. And subsequently, in 08, the company, they made me a partner, they made me a shareholders, and they said, oh, why not you go and do Hong Kong? And to be honest, that is when I would think that so-called the next lap of the career. Yeah. I went over to Hong Kong in 08, and believe me, when you are in an overseas market, the experience is something that you should cherish. Singapore is a great market. It's good. Your friends are here. Your family is here. But when you go overseas, you see what the other market offers. It broadens your whole horizon and perspective then. And the way that the Hong Kong investors and China investors, they see the market is also thoroughly different. And actually over there, I made some very good friends in the real estate industry. So I spent like 08 all the way to 2016 in Hong Kong and China. Had a very good relationship with a lot of the blue chips Hong Kong property developers, and along that way, I think the business was doing well. We made some good progress, and somewhere in between, a giant, a big China company came along and said, "Hey, I want to buy you." And my board says, "Okay lah, since they want to buy, we'll give it to them." So I sold the business, and I came back in 2016 and started this Asia Fund space lah. And actually, when I'm back there, is in 2016 it started actually my very good so-called relationship reconnect back to the Singapore real estate industry, because happened that a local listed property developer, he and I, we had quite a good relationship back then, more than 10 years ago. And then he saw what I was doing and said that why not he take a stake in my company then. So I said, okay, I'll give you a small stake, and then we see how we can work together then. And subsequently, yeah, I'm also helping these property developers now to look for projects, look for investors, and to be able to see. But I'm more coming from the finance perspective rather than the property angle then. Yeah. So that sums up my couple of years here.
Thanks, Mark. Interesting career path. I think Mark graduated in 2002. At the time, for some of you who remember, 2002 was a time when the economy is actually in the recession. We just experienced the 9/11 incident in New York, and then the SARS incident. So it's a very difficult time. So uncertainty actually created a lot of opportunity for some of the graduates. So actually, Mark has established his company so well. So he actually contributed back. So we'd like to thank him for contributing and set up this Asian fund space scholarship for DRE students. I think we actually have offered to some of the students this Asia fund space scholarship. Hope you continue to support the departments. And I think the next speaker again, my colleague, my cohort, my classmate, Valerie Wong. I remember when we were students, we were talking about these building services and all the structural thing, you know, why did we learn all these things? Now here you are, if you read today's newspaper, Straits Times, life story, he have talking about the thing about HVAC or some of these technical terms. Valerie graduated in 1994. She is currently the general manager in the asset management department of Guaco Land, a listed property company in Singapore. She ran the leasing and marketing for the investment property at Collyer Quay and the Guaco Tower, one of the tallest office buildings at Tanjong Pagar area. Prior to Guaco Land appointment, she was actually a senior vice president at Pontiac Land Group, spearheading their luxury residential project development. And before that, she was also the general manager at Vlog Property. Many of you probably know some of the shopping mall they actually manage, Vlog Place in the Orchard Road and so on. Valerie, please.
Hi, Ken Fu. Thanks for having me here. So I thought your comment earlier was quite interesting about why study this, because if you want to be a property agent. Actually, incidentally, I do have some classmates who took the real estate course, and in those days, in the boom was in 2006, they went on to be residential property real estate agents and living in very big houses and became their own developers. So the reason why real estate, and of course in my own cohort, I do have a lot of friends who have left the real estate industry. But personally, for 20 over years, as what Tianfu has shared, I started my days actually in CB Richard Ellis. So that was an agency, but focusing on office. And the degree, even in those days, was also a very, very useful platform. Of course, there are many things, whether you decide to go into banking or learn other disciplines. What I liked about the real estate is that it's a very specialized course. It does give you perspective of legal law, even like the building services, valuation, finance, which is all very, very applicable. So, and real estate touches all our lives. So even say, for example, you see in today's climate, I find that even after 20 over years of doing commercial real estate, of course, my career has moved a little bit. It's always, I think it's more than 25 years in office leasing. But there was always also a focus from residential luxury to retail, even medical leasing. But underlying, I think my passion is still more on the office leasing and operations. So for example, if you see, I mean, COVID is on everyone's mind now, right? What I like, I really see that as a real, whether you join a town planner or a real estate developer, with commercial, industrial, or retail, we touch everyone's life, whether you're on a home, on a mall, on office building. So for example, if you are managing a mall, you really have to really understand safe distancing measures. How as a developer, we play our part in controlling movements and so forth, and even how we prepare the building. Even for the past almost 2 months, every landlord, I would say, has been very, very busy on how to prepare and welcome our tenants back into the building in June. So that is that interesting part of real estate. And of course, if you see the other speakers, everyone's experience is different, and you can go on to focus on different fields. Like for example, I went on to do an MBA in business admin, even though I was in real estate. But I think a lot of it is still more on the ground experience. So and things that even you go out now, when you meet friends, where everyone always likes to ask about real estate. It's always, I think, something very close to people's heart. Like in the residential boom, people always assume that you know all the best deals, what the launch prices, and so forth. So I think it is not, say for example, if you are a bond trader, that's not something a lot of people can relate to. So that is my own personal take on the real estate. I can't really speak for the rest, but I do know there are classmates and so forth of mine that also went on to the government stat boards, all doing very, very well. And again, as contributors to urban planning policies, we also work. So in my area of work, we've developed Guaco Tower, which is a massive integrated development, and then we've got another one coming up on Beach Road. So in this area of work, it is not just about having the tenants. There's also a lot of cross discussions with town planners, trying to understand property trends, trying to see how technology and all that can improve our tenants and also the general people on the ground. So yeah. I'll maybe later on, if there are any specific queries or FAQs, you all can just add on to that. Yeah. Okay, I'll leave a bit more time for the next speaker. Thanks, David.
Okay. Hi, thanks, Valerie. I think talking about COVID-19, so it's as Prof. Lam also mentioned at the beginning, it's really changed the life of a lot of us. I think working from home, telecommuting, and all this. And most of the economics actually has been adversely affected. The one area I think, interestingly, has actually grown very fast during this period is actually e-commerce and shopping. I'm not sure how many of you actually shop more regularly online during this period. And I think you all probably may not be aware some of these important infrastructure behind this. You know, you receive your parcel on time despite this lockdown and all these things. The important infrastructure behind this is our logistic and warehousing industry. They actually provide a very strong network of distribution and this supply chain. This will come to our next speaker. Jacob, actually currently he's a senior manager at Prologit. This is one of the global logistic company. Without them, I think your parcel, all your purchase and parcel will not be delivered on time during this period. So, what is Prologit? What is a logistic company? Maybe I'll let Jacob to share with you later. It's interesting to look at Jacob CV because for many of the students or many of you who are interested to know what he can do in Diploma on Real Estate. He is one of the few people who have graduated with a double degree. You know, he has a degree in real estate, Bachelor of Science on Real Estate, and also a Bachelor of Business Administration at the same time, Bachelor of Administration in Finance. So if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to work harder, actually there's option for some of you to explore some of these double degree options. So for Jacob, currently he's working as a senior manager in the fund management department for Prologit, and 7 years, he graduated 7 years ago. Prior to this, he was actually manager in the private fund department at Capital Land Group, and also he started his career with Capital Land as an investment analyst, focusing on commercial property acquisition in Singapore and Australia. So the other interesting opportunity for many graduates, if you look at it, this Prologit is one typical company. It's a very globalized company, international company. So they have property not just in Singapore. You actually have to look at the bigger part of the world and in your perspective. So the world is your oyster. You know, if you're willing to explore some of this opportunity. So maybe I'll invite Jacob to share more about his careers and why real estate. Thanks, Jacob.
Yeah. So I actually joined real estate in 2009, and then it was a deliberate decision because I think at that point in time I didn't just want to do a business degree, wanted to choose something that's very specialized. So I chose real estate as my first degree, and then after I joined the department, I got to know about there's a possibility of doing 2 degrees. So I think I really appreciated the fact that the school helped me in achieving that goal of mine. So if you're interested in pursuing 2 degrees at the same time, there's actually a path that real estate actually has for you. And it's good in the sense that there's actually a couple of modules that you can double count. So you kind of shorten the number of modules that you need to take when you're a business student as well. So that time I was quite focused on trying to do 2 degrees, but also graduate at the same time as my friends. So I think the school was also willing to be flexible and see how best to help me achieve my dream. And for that, I'm very appreciative of that. Joining real estate, I think, opens up your horizon to a lot of other things. Because I think like what Pascal previously mentioned, I think people tend to think that real estate degree is a misconception. It's like a pathway to be an agent. I beg to differ. I think, I mean, as you come to the workforce and you study more about the various investment asset classes, you'll come to appreciate that actually real estate by itself is one of the asset class that an investor can invest in as part of their alternatives portfolio. So you have your equities, your bonds, and of course you have your alternatives like your infrastructure, commodities, and real estate is a big part of it. And having this degree being very specialized, I think gives you an advantage over other people who pursue other degree, of course. So after graduating in 2013, I joined Capital Land as their management associate. So I worked in their investment department as an investment analyst. So my coverage was in Australia and Singapore, and we mainly look at commercial office buildings. So that was interesting because that was actually, I mean, to me, it was interesting because I get to travel to Australia to look at deals and stuff like that. Then after that, there's an opportunity to open up with CapitaLand. So initially, we looked at investment in options, investments in securitized debt, and then subsequently, I joined their fund management department. So we look at portfolio managing a couple of assets across Asia, including like Vietnam, China, India. So that kind of opens up your horizon, your understanding of different markets and how the real estate markets work across the region. And then subsequently, I joined Prologis. Prologis is the global leader in logistics. So they were trying to scale up their Asia business. So that time, when I joined them, that was two plus years ago. And then my focus is on China logistics, which to me is actually one of the most interesting logistics market in the world now. There's a huge demand for logistics assets in China. It's a growing market, and you still get the kind of growth that comes with it. And of course, the fact that a lot of Singaporeans shop online, like all the stuff that you buy in Taobao probably comes through my warehouse in China. So like Cainiao, Alibaba is one of our main tenants in our China business. So I mean, as a portfolio manager, you kind of see like a lot of assets. You see a lot of assets across your portfolio. Like easy, you look at like we're in 14 cities in China, just a fund that we manage, and you get to interact with a lot of stakeholders. And it's not just being like a real estate student. You get to like work with like government officials. You get to work with like sellers who are private owners who are trying to sell you their land. Especially in markets like, for example, in China, you need to like know how to drink baijiu and stuff like that. So a lot of interesting pathways that you can go, especially after you graduate from here. I think as like Yvonne, Valerie, Mark, all our paths are very different, very varied. And I think we are all very grateful of the education that we had as a real estate student. And we can probably share more later on during the Q&A panel session. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Jacob. I think it's interesting to hear from 4 different alumni and graduates, and their background are quite different. I'm sure there are many of you all have interesting questions you would like to ask this panel. So I think because there are quite a big group of you all in the Zoom room. So what we're trying to do is you can actually, if you have question you'd like to ask the panelists, you can either raise hand or you can actually type the message to Candy, and then we can try to convey your message or question to the speaker. While waiting for the next one to raise your hand, once you raise your hand, I think Candy can help you to unmute your speaker for you to ask question. Right.
Yeah.
Anyone
So
would like to start?
I'd just like to clarify. So all participants have been muted. And if you have any questions to ask our panelists, please raise your hand by clicking on the raise hand button and wait to be called. Otherwise, when your name is called, the host will unmute you and then you can proceed to ask your question. Alternatively, you can just type your question in the chat function by addressing it to Candy or to everyone.
Okay. Anyone would like to start first?
Yeah, there's a question here.
Yeah. Okay. Who is the first one? Will you say 3 things you learned from real estate or from university that you applied to your job? Okay. Anyone want to share on this? Want to answer this question? 3 things you learned from real estate that you find relevant or you have applied to your job. How about Yvonne? You would like to start? Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I was muted. Okay. three things are all. Once you graduate from real estate, you're exempted from taking another exam, and then you are naturally a valuer. So that helped me in my earlier career. So this is what the key advantage, right? Because you are already qualified as a valuer. You just need to clock in some trainee hours, and then you can get your license. So valuation license was very useful in the past, but now, I mean, even now, I mean, the theory, the methodology to valuation will help you in good stead when you are doing investment and valuation of assets. Other than that, what else was good? Understanding the legal structure, the legal part of real estate, that was useful too. Because I think if you do a generic degree, say in business, you don't get you don't have direct law experience in real estate. So real estate law is very unique on its own. So that was useful too. And the last part, I think the third one would probably be the technical knowledge. I mean, a lot of, like Valerie, I used to hate it. Building science, what was that? but that was quite. We take knowledge like that for granted. But after a while, when you're faced with the issue, then you realize that, hey, you know some things, you can handle it while you're at work. So don't underestimate the amount of information and knowledge you can learn from real estate. Yeah.
Hi, Valerie, you want to add anything about building science or building services? Okay.
Maybe I just add, can you hear me? I just add on to what Yvonne said, because I guess everyone's view is different. Mine has always been on more leasing and marketing, and I'm on the front line dealing with tenants and buyers. But definitely what was very useful was the legal aspect and the finance. Because even in our time, when you had to do the cash flows, of course nowadays you got all your financial calculators, you can do that. But basically, whether you're running a mortgage cash flow, is the same concept. When you're doing income valuation, or when you want to run for say MNCs, and when they want to calculate the NPV for their rental income and so forth. This is something the finance module is very, very fundamental to that. And then, for example, the interest, what goes into operating expenses. So there is, when you look from a building asset, it's not just about the top line. It's also, there's a lot of depreciation. So these were the concepts that taught in school that's applicable both at work, irregardless of any asset class you decide to focus in, and also on a personal level. Even if you decide to buy into a REIT, or you decide to, if you have got your own reserves, even if you invest in real estate yourself, these are the basic things you need to know. Yeah, so that's my two main things, not three.
Okay, thanks, Valerie. I think there's a questions about this finance and equity and fixed income. My interest span across a wide array of different asset classes. With a degree from BSc Real Estate, will I be able to break into the asset management divisions of large bracket investment bank to manage equity and fixed income security? Maybe Mark will be maybe the right person to answer this question. Mark, you would like to talk about this? How do you break into the equity, fixed income security area?
Okay.
In banking, challenges? Yeah.
In banking, I think we tend to be a little bit more specialized. If you are fixed income, you're fixed income. If you are a maybe real estate, you're real estate, and you are equity, you're equity. So you have to look at your interest in your asset class and determine what is it that you are the strongest in. Actually, the three of them, despite the fact that they are all under the asset management, they do possess different characteristics. You see, some could be more long term, some could be short term, some could be going for yield, some could be going for capital gains. So that is one part that you need to know your interest. Would you be able to break into it? Well, as I said earlier, it again goes back to your interest and your character. Then you see, if you are a number person and you are able to display that you are very good in that area, you have the knowledge. Yeah, why not? I think when you do a submission to the this fund manager, I would think that they will definitely consider you then. But of course, you have to. If a plus point would be to take your CFA lah. I think that would be good.
Thanks, Mark. And then I think there are a lot of questions coming. Some of the questions are related to the coursework, and for those coursework related questions, we will have another half an hour briefing after this by Prof. Sia. He's going to address some of these questions, specifically on the issue about double degree, about the admission criteria, about the the others information related to course like the specialization and so on. And I think one of the questions I just found is about for DI graduate, the opportunity in MNC and some of the multinational company. In fact, not just our BSc degree, we see increasingly more and more applicants from different backgrounds, as those people working for family office, investment firm, institution company, fund management. Without the real estate degree, they actually come back to NUS and take the master degree on either part-time or full-time basis, because they find it the knowledge about real estate is very important in their because many of these people are very senior people. So knowledge of real estate actually can help them to strengthen their decision-making process in the job. So we see a lot increasingly people with a business finance background, real estate without real estate background, people from architecture firm, engineering and so on. A lot of them coming back as well. That explains how important, especially when they reach certain level of making level, they need to know this foundation concept very well. And on the MNC opportunity, maybe Jacob will be the right person to tell a little bit about working for this MNC. Prology is one of the multinational company. What's opportunities and what's the challenges working for this type of MNC?
I think it definitely helps. I think the nature of Prologis itself is a real estate company. So the fact that you are going in with advantage over other graduates. And at the same time, of course, because they'll look at like your experience and where you have worked at, and because like in the past, maybe I've worked in like capital and stuff like that. So naturally you have built certain foundation skills. So that's a plus point. I don't see how I see it as there's no difference between like getting a business degree and a real estate degree, and how that will determine whether you can get into MNC. It's more in terms of like what kind of MNC are you applying to, and then if you're applying to a MNC that has a real estate exposure or like workings within a real estate field, then definitely of course you have an advantage. And I don't see in any other ways you'll be disadvantaged because of it.
Yeah, thanks, Jacob. There's another question also related to this overseas opportunity. This question from Wang Xin is actually directing at maybe Yvonne and Barry. This question is regard to overseas opportunity in the industry. I understand that many of Singaporean real estate firms, such as Quaco Land and City Developments, own a significant portion of their asset overseas. She would like to know about the hiring practice of such firm. Example, hiring Singaporean and sending them overseas, or do the overseas subsidiary or arm of such firm usually operate separately and prefer local? Barry, would you like to share a little bit about hiring practices of Quaco Land? How do you hire your staff overseas, for your overseas office?
Okay. For Quaco Land,
our three main country focus is China, Malaysia, and of course Singapore, and a small presence in Vietnam. So actually we're very open to doing cross country deployment, but typically it's actually more like people. The reason why, like for example, in our Gokul Singapore, incidentally, a lot of our head departments and staff actually come from Malaysia. And it's more like whether the employees want to move countries because of their family or for whatever purpose. So we had a few cross exchanges, but I think that generally tend to be about stickiness to like to stay in their country of origin in that sense. But then because when we went into China with some fairly big like China, Shanghai and Chongqing on those integrated developments, we also deployed quite a lot of Singaporeans there as the core team. But having said that, because our HQ is in Singapore, so a lot of the practices, whether it's IT, like the SOPs on real estate leasing, or it all filters down from Singapore. So that's why it is we do have a cross deployment.
Yeah. Yvonne, how about CDL? What's a practice for you to hiring overseas?
Yeah, likewise, I think there's always opportunities, especially even last time in CapitaLand. I think there's always this opportunity, especially CapitaLand was quite big in China. So this kind of opportunities will always be there. It's just that oftentimes it's once you establish a career here or your family is here, oftentimes it's people not wanting to be located there. So, but we do have this kind of opportunity. But like what Valerie said, most of the time we because HQ is in Singapore, so it works that you are based in Singapore, but you do travel across to manage the assets there or to help with the SOP and setting up systems over, especially when you are in a new market. Like China is a very big market, right? Even in each of their cities, it's considered a new market on its own. So yeah, the cross opportunities is there. We also have investments in Australia. Some of my colleagues are also involved in that. And I recently took over some portfolio in LA, Los Angeles. So it's very interesting because there would be opportunity when a developer has assets all over, then you have the opportunity to get exposed to those markets. Yeah, but again, it's always depending on the opportunities and the character of the person. If they're open-minded to want to learn, I think the opportunities will be there for them.
Yeah, thanks, Juan and Valerie. I think there's another applicants interested in urban planning issue. I think there are a lot of options as well, or a lot of career pathway in the urban planning as well. I think urban planning, Singapore especially, is a very good example of very successful urban planning models for many countries. A lot of, I think, country coming to Singapore to learn about urban planning system, housing system, public HDB, and so on. So in terms of careers opportunity or internship opportunity, in fact, if you look at our government agency, URA, GTC, SLA, even LTA, and all these agencies do hire some of the graduates to help them or to work in the policy formulation. Because I think especially URA, even because if you're actually working as a planner, you have a chance to actually shape, the future of the city and so on, to have some opportunity to participate, whether in the urban planning area or development control area. And also even in the private sector, you look at company like Savannah, Jurong, Simbridge, it's a very big listed company, private company, where they actually have a lot of town planning project overseas, especially in the emerging market like China, India, and so on. There are plenty of opportunity if one is willing to explore some of these opportunity, because Savannah, Jurong, Simbridge, and some of these urban planning company, they do hire quite a lot of graduate and then post them overseas. Because I think the experience in our urban planning model here is very useful and very transferable to some of these countries. And unfortunately, none of our panelists here have. If Yvonne, do you go to urban URA?
No, I didn't.
All right.
But Tianfu, can I just say something about urban planning? I'm not an urban planner, but I work with a lot of urban planners. Yeah, in URA, in BCA, and so forth. So I think the NUS, the rigorous training we have here, and also the fact is that we may not be aware of it, but URA is one of our town planners are one of the best town planners worldwide. We actually, Singapore actually hosts a lot of the world summits and speaking to a lot of the delegates from other governments. I mean, because the reason why we know this is that they always will visit some of the more bigger developments like Guapo Tower as the best in class, just to show this was actually the vision from URA and how the town planning actually filters down in terms of the streets, the road, the logistics, the transport and so forth. So versus speaking even to colleagues in Malaysia and China, where when you talk about plot ratio, you buy a land for plot ratio 4, suddenly your plot ratio can go to 6.5. So when you don't have clarity, and it can work the other way around too. So when you don't have certain clarity about this, it's very hard to make that financial decision. So I feel that even if you study the real estate course here, I know people who go to London to study urban planning and so forth. But I think coming from Singapore and hearing this feedback from delegates from Chicago, US, Indonesia, all around the world, the feedback I get is that our urban planners are one of the best in the world. People do learn from Singapore.
Yeah, thanks, Valerie. I think there's another interesting question here. Do you see technology disrupting job for real estate in 5 years' time? So, well, I mean, look at a lot of new technology, sharing economies, co-working, Airbnb. I think we're talking about this for a while. So maybe I ask Jacob to comment on it because I think he is in the logistic and warehouse industry. So they are very closely linked to some of these new technology or new sharing economy models. How do you think technology will disrupt our real estate business?
I think the demand for space will differ, but doesn't mean that it will decrease. So like for example, in China, we see that consumption patterns have changed, have evolved with the COVID-19 situation. Like we kind of fast track the adoption of technology for some of the citizens in China, especially for the older folks. So now we find a change in the fact that when they want to purchase something, they are going online. There's a lot more people going online now. Like even for groceries, so we see like demand for cold chain companies. So we see behaviors change. We see consumption patterns change. We see the fact that there are new technologies to enable this kind of behavior. But doesn't mean that the demand for real estate would change as a whole. It just means that what type of real estate are these consumers demanding? And generally, that aside, I still think that people as a whole are social creatures. So there's been a lot of talk about how retail space will die down with like rise of e-commerce and stuff. But I don't think that's really the case because I think that the fact that we're all locked down in our homes now, we actually demand to go out and meet with our friends. So we usually do that in a social setting. You'll be at a mall, basically it's a real estate that's owned by someone else. So definitely the demand for real estate would change, but as a net basis, I don't think it will decrease. It's just how we consume the product.
Right, thanks, Jacob. So I will take 2 more questions from the list, then we'll follow by, we end the panel session, then we'll follow by the briefing. Please stay on. 2 more questions. The next question, I think maybe I'll ask Mark to answer these questions. Basically, maybe ask Mark and maybe Yvonne. Given the competitive nature of applying to some of these reputable asset and fund management company that specialize in equity, will having a BSc real estate degree disadvantage me in any way as opposed to general business program? Do you find that not in the competitive finance industry by having this degree in BSc will disadvantage them in any way? Industry specialized in equities and so on. And then if one can share a little bit about asset management, Livia, yeah. How much? Right, Mark, you want to start first? Do you find
Right.
BSc? Yeah.
Probably I think the a better way to put this into perspective is that if you are really keen in this industry, in the finance industry, having a real estate degree will definitely not so-called give you that disadvantage. Is that you have to be specialized. You have to really have the interest in finance and probably along the line when you are graduating, you should also maybe do a CFA as well, so that it broadens whole financial knowledge in different part of the asset classes, and also involve yourself in some of the finance clubs in NUS and outside that. I think one part of it that I like to add on here is the network. You know, if the 4 years that is spent in NUS in SDE, you should not just restrict yourself to a cluster of friends. You know, you should during your internship be going out to expose yourself, know the people in the industries, and as and when when you are there to about to graduate, you have that network that's being built up. You know, when I first graduate, you know, I got a post as a research associate pretty fast. In fact, they offered me even before I graduate. Was actually through one of the professor. Because I have actually been talking to him. I told him, hey, I really like portfolio management. You know, is there a way I can start somewhere? You know, and he's very gracious enough to introduce me to somebody who then recommend me this job as a research associate. Then, so it's not just the technical part of it. I think the 4 years that you spent in the university, you have to also increase your own network in the industry itself.
And how about Yvonne? Would you like to comment about the relevance of BSc real estate training in the job, asset management and fund management job?
Yeah, actually, if you look at it, Singapore is it's a hub for all the REITs right now. We have REIT started in Singapore in 2002, I think. So right now we have over 40 REITs that's listed in Singapore, and they're not small real estate investment trusts, right? So, and a lot of opportunities actually come about from these REIT managers, right? And I think if you're very interested in finance in the area, having a real estate degree, going into a REIT, you have an advantage actually. Most of the REIT asset managers and investment managers are from real estate background. So therefore, I don't think it is if finance is what you're interested in, focus on getting into back into REITs, into banks. I don't think it's that difficult. I don't think it disadvantages you actually. If nothing else, the finance aspect in real estate helps you, and the real estate specialization gives you an added advantage, the way I see it, rather than going to a business degree that is general, then you don't have the advantage of the real estate. I'm not sure whether if you're in business, you can have a specialization in real estate. But if you're in real estate, I'm sure you can have a specialization in finance. Yeah, this is where I see it. So opportunities are abundant actually in the market.
Right. Thanks, Yvonne. To close, before we close the panel, I'd like to maybe ask Valerie to comment on this very relevant question at this period of time. How will new economic norm after post-COVID affect the industry and real estate graduate? You mentioned about COVID-19 impact, right? How will this the new economic norm affect the industry and also the real estate graduate?
Of course, it's that's not an easy that's not an easy question. But I think for real estate, I'm handling leasing. Of course, the $1 million question now is what percentage of the workforce will start working from home, and i.e. Impact the demand for office space and so forth. So I think we will have a little bit more clarity in the next 12 months. But speaking, so I actually don't, I think because until the vaccine or whatever is found, this work from home arrangement or BCP will still continue. But talking in our building in Guaco Tower, on a normal day, there are around 8,000 people that is coming to work every day with additional 2,000 people. So it is quite a mammoth task handling the social distancing and actually guiding. As a developer, we have to guide and translate the government practices and guide our tenants as not to flaunt any of the MOM guidelines. But I think we may see so it may balance out, because what may happen that, I'm talking for commercial, there may be a certain percentage of people that start working from home, but what it means is the other side is that people may start making workstations a bit bigger, so it will control off. For the malls itself, it will be quite impactful. But fortunately, I think for a lot of malls have actually moved to offering quite a large F&B component. So as earlier mentioned by Mark, people are of social creatures. So that's something that they want to gravitate to, services, F&B and so forth. Yeah. So time will tell. Residential will be, I think it will naturally flatten out and improve by itself in the next 1 year or so.
Right, thanks, Valerie. With that comments, I would like to close this panel session. I would like to thank our 4 panelists and hope the comments and the sharing of the experience are useful. And please stay back, and we are going to continue with some some briefing on some of the questions. We have received more than 200 questions posted by potential applicants. So my colleague Prof. Xiao is going to share some of the briefing to this next 20 minutes to half an hour to give you some information about some of the questions you have in mind, especially on the cost related matters. Right. Kay, you want to continue? Thanks, the panelists. Thanks, Valerie, Yvonne, Mark, and Jacob.
Thank you
for having us.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, but okay. You want to share your?
Yeah, so let me just kind of, I had earlier pre-recorded some of the questions that I gleaned from people who have posted their questions. So this is more about curriculum, so we'll take the opportunity here to share with you. So let me share screen now on some of the common questions coming from our potential students. Right, so let's see. Right. So the question is the course of study very technical, or is it similar to humanities? I think that the best way to take a look at this is to kind of take a look at our subjects. A lot of these subjects are our core subjects. Core meaning that you would have to take them, there is no choice, and then you have electives to take also. So you can see that you have finance, and then we have law, valuation, and we have something like economics, and analytics here, and urban planning. So you can see that there is a mixture. So it's not something where, you know, if you have a technical background, quantitative background, you will do well in this course, or you have a humanities background, you will do well in this course. Right now, when you come into the university with tertiary education, it's an amalgamation of skill sets. So it really is, you will see some of the social sciences here, you will see something like humanities, like law, it's considered as part of humanities sometimes. And then you would have something that is requiring more technical skills, or quantitative skills in finance. So yeah, it's interdisciplinary, and professors come from all over the world also to give you that global perspective, which is necessary for a real estate professional. How are the lessons conducted, and are there a lot of presentations or a lot of group projects? It really depends on the particular subject. Your teachers will decide on a set of tools to teach you. There will be a mixture of lecture and small group learning, particularly in the first year maybe. And then slowly as you move on to your third and fourth year in the advanced years, we tend to have more seminar style. We do like to encourage our students to be very interactive. You speak to the professor, you ask questions, and then we walk through it. With technology, there's also this thing called a flipped classroom, and it's increasingly being used in our classrooms, where you will kind of look at a video or you learn it, the professor record a lecture, do it at home, and then when you come to classroom, you work on cases and case studies. So very practical, very real life cases, I would think, for a degree like real estate. There's also lab-based classrooms where you have to do geospatial modeling and programming as well. So you can expect higher order skills in the advanced modules, and presentation skills are very important. Group projects are important because just the nature of real estate is that you have to work with different people from different walks of life. So as a developer, you need to talk to the engineers. If you want to sign a lease, you need to talk to the lawyers, especially when you work with MNCs. So yeah, so I mean, being able to articulate your ideas, it's very important. We hope to hone that skill when you are our student. So assessment is a mixture of individual and group projects, and the proportion really depends on individual subjects. But you're not expected to work in groups all the time. You know, you will sometimes work with group, and we also care about individual learning. And the group size are not very big. It's 3 to 5. Anything bigger than that is really not effective because you tend to have some free rider. And anything smaller than that, you know, you don't really get to do group dynamics very well. In terms of resources, NUS is very well endowed. We're blessed with that. So that is really nothing to worry about. There's a lot of open data. NUS library is well subscribed to a lot of database. Your teachers will recommend textbooks for you to use. Published papers, we use that also. So you will learn research skills as well. Can you email your professor, consult them during office hours? A niche program is something where you know, you build a relationship with your professor, and that relationship moves on beyond graduation, beyond just being our student. We hope to culture that relationship with you and have that healthy ecosystem where you come back as alumni and then nurture future generations of real estate professionals. And without this ecosystem, then you know, the real estate industry will not be able to move forward. So we do need that as the industry evolves. So yes, professors love to hear from students. Do not feel shy. Come to us whenever you have any problems. We understand that you know, we do not expect that you know real estate from the get-go. We know that you come from a variety of background, and we appreciate that. It's what makes classroom interaction interesting. You'll be assigned academic mentors, and also in your third year, if you sign up for it, you can also be assigned industry mentors to help you ease your way into your career. So that's all I have. And do we have questions? For so there's this question on double degree. What is the GPA requirement if we did not apply during the direct admission? I think for the ad hoc double degree, you will kind of we look at what your UAS is. The other, so it depends. So if this case is a BBA, right? So your application will be passed over to the business school, and they will not just look at your UAS, but they will also look at how you did in the semesters prior to your admission. So I mean, basically, you will have to show that you are a high ability student in order to cope with the extra workload. What are the postgraduate studies one can undertake after obtaining a BSc in real estate? Tianfu? I think it's anything. I did a business degree after getting the bachelor degree in real estate. So I did a PhD in business school. And it's just anything. I think a lot of our students got MBAs also. So I don't really think that it affects you in any way, right, Tianfu?
This concurrent degree, concurrent double degree. So for students who are in the BSc program, they can consider in their year 4 or year 3 planning concurrent degree in Master of Urban Planning. So you can graduate with a BSc Real Estate and Master of Urban Planning if you do the concurrent degree. Of course, I think you probably need about 4.5 to 5 years to complete the 2 degree. And we are working for various options, various type of concurrent degree as well for students who really interested to study, so you can continue to get another degree after your bachelor degree or concurrently. So usually take about 4 to 5 years to get a double degree. So, and other than that, there are many other options as well. You can, after working for a few years, come back to take another Master of Science in Real Estate. And we are actually in the process of introducing more other master program as well, so that they can help to diversify and also broaden the skill set of our graduate. Especially in the era of technological digitization and all this, there are a lot of demand for people with strong analytic skill. So we're actually working on this new major program, right, in analytics.
Tianfu, if I can, share as well.
Joseph. This is our advice team.
Advice team of the School of Design Environment. Some of our graduates, I know one of our graduates is going to Cambridge to do her master's as well. Another one have just came back from Cornell doing data analytics. Another one from Cambridge last year also, they did Cambridge on information technology. We have graduates, and most of them are actually on scholarships. What happened is when they come to real estate, there are scholarship that is given, and you are only competing with about 120 of your cohort. That's your cohort size. All right. So if it is so much easier to get a scholarship in real estate, right? And you get scholarships that some of them gets from JTC and all those, and JTC actually sponsor them to go for the masters, and we have seen that, and one of them is just coming back from Cornell. So I think in terms of masters, if you want to go deep, you can have urban planning, which is what some of them go. I think one of them was on urban analytics in London, UCL. They did that as well. So there is opportunity if you want to go deep into urban planning, into property analytics. It's also very possible for you to go into other areas like business, you name it. I mean, it's as wide as that. Alumni have gone to INSEAD. I know of some alumni have gone to INSEAD and came back doing just general management and doing very, very well now with Boston Consulting. So that there is a lot of opportunity there as well. All right. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Joseph. So preparation of IE course. What are the career outside real estate? Okay, any different taking a minor and not taking any minor in terms of workload, current curriculum? Okay, you want to talk about these minor and major options? And also the other options like specializing.
Minor just means that they, depending on minor in which aspect. So the host So whoever you want to take the minor from, so suppose you want to take the minor from economics, then there is a basket that they will list out for you to choose. You choose 6 modules from there. Sometimes that we have mapping with the department. So sometimes real estate has mapping with business school or mapping with economics department, then you would have already taken that when you take one of our modules where it's mapped. So then instead of 6, you get some kind of a discount. But yeah, basically to get a minor, you need to take around 6 modules, 6 extra modules.
Yeah, that's important because when education become more and more competitive, we try to encourage students to have the pie shape kind of training. You have 2 leg, strength, two specialization in your training that would help to differentiate the students. So I think the major minor actually program offer to give the additional depth to the students in terms of the training. So you have a specialized in real estate, if you have another minor in business or minor in even behavioral study or economics, all this actually does improve or strength or give you additional competitive edge in the area. Because I think doing a major or minor degree, you need to work harder in the sense. You probably have to take courses outside the school, outside the departments, right?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that NUS really encourages or allows you to do is that you can cultivate broad interests. You don't have to limit yourself to, something narrow. This is how NUS has redesigned over the years so that you can do a second major, second minor, or a minor. So yeah, no worries. If you didn't do it in the direct admission, you could definitely choose to do it subsequently.
Yeah. Some of you also interested to find out about the poly diploma matching we call advanced placement APC credit. So you have a maximum of 24, right? Advanced placement.
20 credits.
20 credit. That's equivalent to about 5 modules.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so it depends. It depends on how the diploma that you have. You can write to us, and then we can answer the question more specifically for you. Same thing for somebody who asks about online resources to prepare for this. Again, it really depends what aspect you're interested in. You can just write to us. I think you can write to how the email that you received the Zoom invite, and the email will direct your specific question to us. We can share with you some of the online resources that will help you prepare for our study. So one question is, can one do a specialization in finance, as in real estate finance, I think, and then a minor? Sophronia is our student. Maybe we'll let Sophronia talk about her specialization in finance. Sophronia, can you unmute yourself, you think?
Yeah, I can now.
Yeah.
So my specialization in finance, it started in year 3, more or less. And you basically indicate where your interest in undergoing this specialization. And then at the end of the 4 years, whether or not you fulfill the specialization criteria, which is whether or not you complete the required number of finance modules, then you will be awarded with this degree in real estate finance specialization when you graduate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a question by Jin Yu, right? You're asking about the double degree. I think what you see is the Master of Science and MBA double degree, but there's also a double degree at the undergraduate level. So if that's the ad hoc double degree, after you enter the BSc program, you can actually apply to do a double degree in business, like what Jacob have completed in 2000, when he was an undergraduate.
We recently have somebody who undertook double degree in engineering, civil engineering, and real estate also. Very, very difficult choice, but she's second year, she got into that. So that's possible also. She's really into built environment. And when she came to us, she was a straight A student. and she wasn't sure where to go, whether or not to go to engineering or to come to real estate. And finally, she decided to come to real estate. And then after that, after her first year, then slowly think through that decision. And then finally, she made a decision to do a double degree with civil engineering. And both departments are really happy with her. She's really a superb student.
And then there's a question about urban planning specialization. We actually have terminated the urban planning specialization because of this concurrent degree. So students can actually take 1 more years to complete 2 degrees. It's called concurrent degree if you're actually interested in urban planning. So you get a degree, BSc, real estate, and a Master of Urban Planning in 5 years.
Okay, there's a question on how many extra modules for a second major. For a second major, it's 48 credits. So each module is around 4 credits. Some modules are, has more or less credits, so it depends, but 48 credits. And again, if you want to do a second major elsewhere, it depends on the faculty that is offering that second major. And so, that's 48 MCs. So we also have second major in real estate. So, and also we are seeing a lot of interest from the business school students taking second major with us. So same thing, 48 MC. So that's around 12 modules.
Okay.
I think, are we more or less?
We cover more or less the question.
Yeah, I think so.
If you have further questions, you can always send an email to DRE, ask DRE, right? The email. What's the email? Can you flash the?
Yeah, so let
You can send
Candy
it to
share
Ask
screen.
DRE.
Do you have a screen where they can?
Okay, type it out. DRE at NUS.
Yeah.
You can send it to this email at AskDRE at NUS.
AskDRE and then us.edu.sg. Right. Any other questions? If not, I would like to thank all of you all for joining this Zoom session, and hope you have all the information you need to make a decision. Hope to see many of you or all of you and real estate, and it will be something that probably will be interesting for many of you, right? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,